Hi everyone, it's Mary with Happy Pine Soap. Today we're going to learn how to make a hanger swirl design in your cold process soap. I also will, at the very end, be going over Stearic spots versus wire cutting spots and how you can tell the difference and what you can do to fix them as well. So stay tuned for that, and without further ado, let's get started. We have 3 colors here. These are all Mad Mica Uncharted series colors. The first one is heliotrope, and we'll be using 1/4 teaspoon. And the second is bubblegum, also used at 1/4 teaspoon. And the last one is lush green, also used at 1/4 teaspoon. I'm using colloidal oats as well at about 1.7 ounces for this 5-pound recipe. And in addition, when you mix your micas, you want to use about 1 teaspoon of lightweight oil for each 1/4 teaspoon. To create your beautiful design, you will need a hanger swirl tool. This one is found for $6 on Brambleberry, or you could use something like a coat hanger that you have cut apart and fashioned in a similar way. The fragrance I'm using is Asian Plum by Crafter's Choice. This one does accelerate, so you'll have to keep that in mind. Our hard oils include cocoa butter and lard, palm kernel flakes, and palm oil. And more on that later because we do have Stearic spots that pop in with palm oil. To try to prevent Stearic spots, this time I got my hard oils heated to about 160 degrees. And this is part of the reason why I discovered that they were wire cutting spots and not Stearic spots. But again, more on that later. Here I'm adding the colloidal oats into the warm oils and stick blending them to make sure that they are blended really well into the oils. Anytime you have palm oil in a recipe, you want to keep your recipe soaping at higher temperatures to avoid those Stearic spots. So here I'm soaping at about 100 degrees for both the oils and the lye solution as well, which you see being poured right now. Now that the lye solution has been added to your oils, both your hard and soft oils, you will go ahead and stick blend. I only stick blended for about 10 to 15 seconds total. I wanted the soap batter to barely be emulsified because my fragrance does accelerate, which here you go. You see me adding the fragrance. And this time do not stick blend while you add the fragrance because you will have very rapid thickening if you do that. So I am pouring about 2 pounds of the batter in the bottom, and then you will see me start to add the colors in, which are approximately 6 ounces of soap batter for each color. And you can pour over a spatula to try not to disrupt the soap layer below, which is kind of important since we want our layers to look separate from one another and not like a drop swirl, for example. And the last color that you'll see me add is our beautiful bubblegum. That goes in last. And the final layer is your remainder of your soap batter. And again, pouring carefully over a spatula to not disrupt the lower layers. The pattern for the hanger swirl design here is essentially starting at one side of your soap mold. You will push the tool straight down, gently slide it over just a little bit, pull it straight up, gently move it just slightly over, push it straight down, gently slide it just slightly over at the bottom, pull it straight up, and kind of repeat this until you've reached the other side of the soap mold, and then I simply just reverse the pattern. If you have a little bit of the colored soap batter, this is a great time to sprinkle it over the top of your soap mold if you would like to create a design. It doesn't have to look perfect or pretty, since you can also swirl this to make a prettier top. To swirl the top, you can simply take a chopstick or some other small tool, and here you see me creating figure eights over the top of the soap, and you don't want to stick your chopstick too far down, probably just in the top 1/4 inch of the soap loaf, if that, to just barely swirl the colors together. To finish it off, I used a powder sprayer from Brambleberry with a little bit of mica in it, just to give the top of my soap a little bit of extra glamour. I went ahead and oven processed my soap in the oven. Essentially, you turn your oven on to 170 degrees, then you will turn it off, go ahead and put your soap in and leave the oven light on, and you can take it out in about 3 hours. And this is what my soap looks like after it's done oven processing. I love this recipe. It's one of my favorites because the bars are ready to cut in about 6 hours, and they are very hard, actually. It's a very hard recipe, which I adore. And the lather on this particular recipe is absolutely amazing as well, which is another reason I love it. And I think because the recipe is so hard, that's probably why I'm getting wire cutter spots. At first I thought it was Stearic spots, but actually, as you'll see in just a minute, I'll talk about the differences and kind of show you the differences and how I discovered what was actually going on. But I hope you are enjoying seeing each bar. Each bar is unique. I love that about soap. It reminds me very much of art, and you never know what they're going to look like. But I'm quite happy with the way this design has turned out thus far. So as you can see, this is the exact same recipe as the Sky Fury. And I noticed that I'm still getting what I thought were Stearic spots, despite, and these are the tiny little white dots that you can see. A little bit easier to see in the darker colors of the Sky Fury. The little white dots you see, these are supposed to be from stearic acids that typically you'll find in oils like palm oil especially will do this. And so both of these recipes have palm, and I thought that I would get rid of them by soaping at higher temperatures because that's generally what you hear, but that did not solve it. So I thought to myself, well, it can't be Stearic spots because, well, let me just show you what I discovered after using a bar of my Sky Fury in water. All right, here's a different bar of my Sky Fury. And I realized after washing my hands in it, by the way, this is one of my favorite recipes because it has just copious amounts of lather. Ooh, it's slippery. Let's see if I can show you. It's got, oh, so many bubbles. It's an amazing recipe. So I was really upset that I was getting what I thought were Stearic spots, but check this out. There are no Stearic spots when you use water. So that told me that I don't actually have Stearic spots. It's got to be something else. So a little more research, and what I found is that the wire cutters can cause these white spots because I soaped at, I got my hard oils above 160 degrees, so there was no way that I should be having Stearic spots with 160 degree hard oils. So essentially, the other thing that can cause those small white bumps are essentially the wire cutter. So, and you know it's the wire cutter because when you use water and they go away, you know, that means it's not throughout the whole bar. It's just where the wire meets the surface. So I have solved it it is the actual wire cutter. And I'm going to show you what it looks like after planing them as well. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and bevel a few of these bars just to show you that these are not Stearic spots. They're actually wire cutter spots. I've already gone ahead and beveled one of them, and you can see the difference already. It goes to show that sometimes you have to be a bit of a detective when you're figuring out why your soap is not doing what you want it to do. And obviously I don't want to put water over every single one of my bars because they will eventually go in my Etsy store. So this is an incredibly heavy duty stainless steel beveler. This is from Lilu Soap Tools. And even though it's quite pricey, it's the best on the market in my opinion. So you're going to use firm, slow pressure, and of course watch your fingers. You don't want to lose a finger. This is very, very sharp. But it'll give you an idea of how quickly these what look to be Stearic spots are going away simply by planing them. And you know, this is kind of a bummer that I have to plane them because you do actually waste a bit of soap, which is why I try not to create designs I'm going to have to plane, just because I hate to waste soap, to be honest. And then this is just a simple vegetable peeler from IKEA. And I love how it gives the soaps a nice rounded beveled edge. It feels a lot nicer in the hand. But you can already see, let me show you a comparison side by side. You can already see how much better the one on the left that's been planed looks compared to the one with all the white spots on the right. And so this did a phenomenal job. And again, just as I showed you the Sky Fury, when somebody uses this in the shower anyways, the rest of these any white spots that might remain are going to go away anyways. I just don't want to take too much of the soap off. So that's the ticket here, is trying not to take too much soap off. That's the hard part with any type of planing. Let me try it again with another bar. Oh, it's gorgeous. Yes, it is already so much better. Again, watch those fingers. And the soap is pretty new, but this recipe is a pretty firm recipe, actually. The soap is only about 7 hours old. So even though it's not very old, it's still hard enough to actually plane pretty quickly. That's why it's one of my favorite recipes. It's just one that is easy to take out of the mold pretty quick. All right, so there you have it. Not Stearic spots. What we have here essentially are wire cutter spots, unfortunately. So they will go away with water whenever somebody uses these in the shower. And so at least planing them takes off a lot of them and makes the bar feel really nice and smooth too. And quite pretty, actually. It improves the look. But again, as I said, the reason I am not a fan of planing is because you waste so much soap, you know, and that's the downside. Too bad I couldn't figure out a craft project for all these cool soap layers, right? I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next tutorial. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.